I got Matthew Wood's book, what he calls the Book of Herbal Wisdom, and it had all these amazing plants in it. But what really struck me was Solomon's seal, the way he talked about it. So the first thing is, why Solomon's seal? I mean, it's a common enough garden plant, and talking to people in Tasmania, it's almost like an out-of-control garden plant down there because of the cool climate and water that's prevalent there. So going back in time, we go back to John Gerard, who's got this wonderful quote. He says, "But note what experience is found out of late days, especially amongst the vulgar people of Hampshire, which Galen, Dioscorides, or any other that have written of plants have not so much as dreamed of." And he says of Solomon's seal specifically, "Common experience teacheth that in the world there is not to be found another herb comparable to it," which is pretty high praise. And it's a good quote because he says the vulgar people of Hampshire. And he's got a bit of a wry sense of humour, John Gerard, which not everybody gets. And he doesn't mean that they're vulgar people. He just means they're everyday people who actually have found out how to use this herb, and that they're showing up these leading herbal medicine healing authorities, Dioscorides, who tramped around with the Roman army, and Galen, who was a Greek herbalist, who the usage of this plant went completely over their heads. So he's having a bit of a wry dig. And Matthew Wood, who I learnt about Solomon's seal, and he says, "Men and women are subject to injury of the locomotive system upon which they rely for movement. Thus, we must be able to repair damage to the connective tissue, bones, cartilage, joints, and true Solomon's seal is the best." So pretty high praise.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a herbaceous perennial. So we're talking about dormant in winter. So all the top growth dies away. There's no woody secondary tissue. So dormant through winter, pops up in spring, goes through spring and summer, through to autumn, and then dies down again. Interestingly enough, it's only got one growth phase a year, being late winter, and early spring. Key part of it. Once, I don't know how many of you people have seen what the root looks like, but it is very distinctive. I mean, the only other plant I've seen that anywhere near this is the false Solomon seal. So you can see the seal points. See that? And that. And that. That's actually where the leaf attachment is, the stem attachment is to the rhizome. And also you can see where there's like these growth rings. They look like articulations. And here's the actual true roots. So you've got a rhizome, and then you've got the roots. And yeah, I was very lucky to have Matthew on the farm for a workshop when last he came out to Australia. And he talks about, sweet nutritive herb treating the tissue state of atrophy, beneficial demulcent, nutritive influence. He's talking about the irritation of the mucosa, so that's lungs, GI tract, and female system. So there we all are grouped around the Solomon seal baths. Yeah, so here's the man, and notice he's saying a nutritive food for weak and prostrated persons, externally on bruises, repetitive use injury, which would be a very, very great usage of it. Stretched, stiff, tight or loose, weak tendons and ligaments, muscular and skeletal tensions and bone spurs. Matthew's actually had good success where people say, "Oh, I've got a bone spur," and he uses Solomon seal, and because it correctly retensions all the tendons and ligaments, or gets their right level of elasticity back, Suddenly the bone spur doesn't need to be there anymore.